Alright, CNT140, we are working on the certification cost for our bid spec. So I'm on the cable certification section of our bid spec page. I'm going to open the notes page that's here. And really this week is just kind of like tidying up the spreadsheet and adding in a couple costs of things like the total equipment cost, labor cost, and then we're going to put a line item in here for certification cost, just to be thorough. All right, so this is a reminder where we should be. We did cable support a week or two ago. Last week we added the equipment for our closet. This week we're going to add in, basically total up the equipment costs and try to add a line item for certification. So I use an example here of when you go to have your car certified to be on the road, inspected to be on the road. There's a cost for them to do it, and there's also a cost for the sticker to go on the windshield. And that is basically proof that yes, we've checked the lights, we've checked the brakes, all these things are, up to par, they're safe to be on the road. Here's proof of. Well, we're going to do the same thing for the customer. After we install everything, we're going to throw some meters on. The meters we've been using up to this point, the wire mat meters and all, to make sure they work. And then we're also going to throw a certification meter on to verify, will this carry the data we are intending for it to carry, the level of data we're intending it to carry. And when we're done, we will download those results and share them with the customer. That way they have their proof that everything's working and also their baseline. So there's actually going to be a cost incurred with this. So here's my sample to walk through kind of how I got it and all the math. I'm going to show you that process on my spreadsheet. You can do it there as well with me. And then down here I have the kind of like the sample final result. So I'm going to move over to my spreadsheet. And what I'm going to do to begin with, you'll notice I actually do have my fiber links and everything in here. So this is actually a spreadsheet from like a week or two down the road yet. But once we have all our equipment in, what we're going to do is we're going to do some totaling down here. And we can still do the totaling now even if you haven't added in these things, because we're going to write formulas that's going to keep updating this information for us if anything changes. That's why we're going to do it over here in the spreadsheet. So down here at the bottom, I create an area that actually says total equipment cost, labor cost, certification cost, and total cost for the plan. I'm breaking it out. Sometimes you might actually have all the labor and everything lumped in together into one area. I'm just breaking out to show you all the pieces. And actually every company, every site you might work on might handle this a little bit differently. You might use some different factors. I'm just using some relatively kind of generic mainstream numbers that might get used. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a total column for the total equipment costs. So over here I'm going to do a sum total of all of our equipment. So I'm going to use the formula option here, the function of the formula option, where we're just going to do a sum. And we're going to scroll up here and we're going to drag, basically highlight all of these cells that have our total equipment costs in. I'm just going to go down to here. Okay, that'll total up all of our equipment. I'll hit the enter key, and that's going to be giving me a total equipment cost for everything. And as you add your fiber links in later, this will continue to add that for you. The labor cost, we're just going to do a simple factor of, if think about it, if you have a car repaired, if it's $100 in parts, it's probably about $100 in labor. Total bill is about $200. We're going to use that basic idea. So if the equipment costs $19,000, blah, 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 the labor is going to be about that same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the equal key, and I'm going to highlight this cell, the one that has the total in, and hit the enter key. As this changes, this will change with it. So up here, I'll just change this quantity to 10. You'll see that all of this changes for me. That's what we want to do. That way, any change of this, all of this math down here is done for me. I don't have to worry about redoing it. We now need a line for certification costs, then total. So what I did here is I put a couple line items to calculate my certification cost. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the scenic way to get there. I'm going to calculate how much it costs to put one drop on my building, and then I'm going to do a little percentage of that would be the certification cost, and then total that up. The reason I'm doing that is it's actually handy to know how much putting equipment drop in a building is, that allows you to, if you were working at this site again in the future, or you need to do a bigger estimate, you could real quickly kind of like on a piece of scrap paper say, well, that's going to cost you about X $1,000 more to put, 10 more drops in, or another whole lab room of drops. It will give you that quick estimate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the total equipment cost and divide it by the number of drops in the building to get the cost per data drop. So I'm going to quick look on my other spreadsheet over here and find out that I have 72 drops in the building. That's something we had calculated previously. I'm going to keep that number handy. And then over here, I'm going to take my total equipment cost, which I have right here, and I'm going to divide by the drops in the building. So I'm going to make a formula here that says this equals, and I'm just going to click this cell so it grabs that total. I'm going to use the slash key to do divide, and I'm going to divide by my drops of 72. And that'll give me the cost of the price to put one drop in our building. Now that is kind of high. We are putting a lot of equipment in and not a whole lot of data drops. If we were doing, computer labs in here, all these numbers would go up, but this number would come down a bit. And you might be in the $200 category to put a network drop in. Okay, so that might change a little bit based on the facility, but that's at least giving us a ballpark number that we could estimate. If they want to put 4 more drops in a room, we're like, it's about $1,000 to do that. I've been in meetings where that has happened, where somebody just wanted to put more drops in, and they quick gave them an estimate of it's another $600-700. They're like, really? It costs money to do that? Like, yes, it does. We have to cable, outlets, boxes, all that stuff. Yeah, so it gives you a real quick estimate. We're now going to take a factor of that and say it's going to cost us so many dollars to certify a cable run, because think about 2 technicians going in, hooking one end of the meter to one end of the cable run, other end of the meter to the other end of the cable run, scanning it, saving it, moving to the next drop, scanning it, saving it, moving to the next drop, and then going back to the office and downloading all that data for them. It's going to take some time, just like somebody certifying, inspecting your car. So we're going to take the cost per data drop, this right here, and we're just going to say it's going to cost 5% of that. So right here, I'm going to do another formula. I'm going to say equals. I'm going to highlight this cell, and then I'm going to multiply asterisk, and I'm going to multiply by 0.05. Okay, 0.05 is 5%. So it's going to tell us that it's about $13 to scan that cable run. Okay, and again, if I have more drops in the building, this price would go down a little bit, but it is going to take technicians time and energy and money to do this. And now we're going to say the total certification cost for the building would be this right here times my 72 drops. So here again, we'll say equals, and I'm going to highlight this cell, and I'm going to multiply with asterisks by 72 cable drops. So we're looking at about, just under $1,000 to go around and scan all the runs. I might need to fix things. I might need to re-terminate things. That's all getting factored in here. Scan it again, save it, go back, download it, get all the data together to give to the customer. Again, just like putting a sticker on the windshield of your car. We're then going to take that value, and I'm going to put it over here. So I'm going to say this right here. I'm going to use equals again, and I'm just going to click this cell. That way, that number, if it changes, is going to get factored in here for me. So if any of this gets changed, again, I'm going to come up here. I'll change this quantity to 10. You'll see all of these numbers edit for me, which is wonderful. Okay, that is updating that for me on the fly. Last but not least, we're going to do a sum total down here. I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to say this equals the sum of these 3. So again, we're going to do another sum, and I'm just going to highlight, or basically lasso all 3 of those cells and hit enter. So this is now my total cost of my plan. But the nice part is I did this all in formula, so anything that changes up here, if all of a sudden you're like, oh, doggone it, I need another equipment rack. If I change this to 2, all of this down here has updated for me. I don't have to worry about redoing any of that. So I'm going to go back here and I'll put 1 back in there. All right. So that is one way we can factor in certification costs. I'm just breaking it out so you can see the whole process. Some companies will just lump that into labor and say that's included in labor. We're just breaking it out to be specific and get you thinking that we would need to factor this in somehow. So there is certification costs for your plan.